Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now we may only just be a couple of weeks into February, at least as this video goes out, but the start of the new Formula One season isn't all that far away, really. With that in mind, and as appears to now be an annual thing on the channel, I thought I'd take a look at what's coming up over the next few weeks. So from launches to lineups, Australia to Abu Dhabi, here is almost everything you need to know about F1 2025. I say almost everything because there's a good chance something will be announced shortly after this video goes out, and on that note, if anything does get revealed between me recording this and the video going out, I'll pop something on screen and or in the comment section with more info, but everything in this video should be correct at time of recording. But anyway, before we get to the first race, we've got pre-season to get through, and that usually kicks off with car launches, but things are a little bit different this year thanks to the big 75th anniversary launch show thing, with most teams not revealing anything until that event and the days that follow, but some are still having separate launches. Williams will unveil its 2025 car on February 14th, that's Valentine's Day, to fans, partners and media at a special event at Silverstone. The car will appear in a one-off livery, with the official race livery being shown off at the season launch at the O2. More on that shortly. Haas will take part in a filming day on February 16th and will then reveal their car at the O2. Ferrari will show off their new car, that's the SF25, on February 19th, which will give us another official look at Charles Leclerc and new teammate Lewis Hamilton in all their 2025 gear. The team has, by the way, already released some photos of the pair in their new kit. Aston Martin will reveal its livery at the launch event but won't show off their actual car until February 23rd before giving it a shakedown the following day. Mercedes have confirmed that we'll get to see the W16 on February 24th, and they will take their car out for a shakedown a day later, just a day before pre-season testing starts. And as a result, and in a break from the norm, that first look will be in Bahrain and not at a usually damp Silverstone. And Red Bull's challenger for this year, the RB21, is poised to make its first on-track appearance in a filming day in Bahrain on Tuesday, February 25th, also right before the start of testing. And those are all the official or expected launch and shakedown dates at time of recording this video. Sandwiched in between some of those events is the F1 75 anniversary season launch, which takes place at the O2 Arena in London on February 18th. The 2-hour launch event will start at 8 PM GMT and will feature all of the teams and drivers, but not necessarily all of the new 2025 cars, to mark the 75th anniversary of the championship and to reveal their official liveries for the new campaign. F1 says the event will also feature special guest presenters and stars from the world of entertainment. Oh, the joys. But never fear, if you missed out on tickets, the event will be streamed live so you can watch from the comfort of your own home. And do you know what? I might even do a watch along on the channel too to try and help get through it all. At least it's shorter than Eurovision, I suppose. Details on where it will be streamed, by the way, will be revealed in due course. It is also expected that teams will release official renders of their 2025 cars and or liveries to coincide with the event. Once the covers are off all the cars, it is on to pre-season testing, which once again is being held in Bahrain and takes place from February 26th to 28th. And yes, before you ask, I will be live for all of it, so bring your snacks, coffee and questions. I'm very much looking forward to it as always. Once all of the talking and the launches and the testing is out of the way, it's on to the opening race of the season, which in 2025 is being held in Australia, with lights out for the season opener on March 16th. It feels so good to see Melbourne kicking off the new campaign again, doesn't it? That will be followed just a week later by the Chinese Grand Prix and the first sprint event of the season across the weekend of March 21st to 23rd, before a couple of weeks later the sport heads to Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix on April 6th, which forms part of a triple header with Bahrain and Saudi Arabia for some reason. The second sprint of the year is in Miami across the weekend of May 2nd to 4th, with Imola, Monaco and Spain forming the second triple header of the season before the usual trip to Canada on June 15th, and then a return to Europe on June 29th for Austria, and then a week later Silverstone. Just weeks before the summer break, we have a random mini break before Belgium, which hosts sprint number 3, and Hungary rounds off the first leg of the 2025 season, the race in Budapest being held on August 3rd. After the break, it's on to Zandvoort on August 31st, which kicks off a doubleheader with Monza, which is followed by Azerbaijan on September 21st and Singapore on October 5th. The fourth sprint race of the year is at COTA, with the United States Grand Prix falling across the weekend of October 17th to 19th, and is immediately followed by Mexico just a week later. A couple of weeks after that, we're back in Brazil for the penultimate sprint weekend of the year across November 7th to 9th, before a season-ending tripleheader of Vegas on November 22nd, Qatar on November 30th, the final sprint weekend of the year, and as is always the case this year, Abu Dhabi rounds out the season on December 7th. That tripleheader makes complete and total sense, by the way, because of course Vegas is closer to Qatar than it is to Sao Paulo. That's sarcasm, by the way, although there are only a couple of thousand miles difference, and what's a couple of thousand miles between friends, eh? And just to confirm, in case they got lost in there, the sprint races this season will be held in China, Miami, Belgium, Austin, Brazil, and Qatar. Now, on top of all of that, there are some tweaks to the regulations, some more significant than others. Back in 2019, the FIA chose to reintroduce the bonus point for the driver who sets the fastest lap of the race. However, from the start of the upcoming season, that rule has been given the axe, and so no driver will receive an extra point for taking the fastest lap on a Sunday. There has also been an increase in the requirement for fielding a young driver during free practice, which now means that rather than once per season per car, it'll be twice per season per car. There will now be specific regulations for how the starting grids for sprints and Grand Prix should be set in the event that qualifying is cancelled. The starting grid will now be set according to the drivers' championship standings rather than being left to the discretion of the stewards to determine the starting grid order if a qualifying session is completely called off. In the event the drivers' championship standings cannot be used for whatever reason to determine the starting grid order, it will remain at the steward's discretion, and that applies to sprint quali as well. On the subject of starting grids, the way grids are closed up when cars are unable to start a race has been amended. The final grid will now be determined 1 hour before the start of the race, and cars that are withdrawn up to 75 minutes before the start will not be included in the final grid, and the following cars will all move up the relevant number of positions. Few numbers coming up here. Elsewhere, the minimum driver weight allowance has been increased from 80 to 82 kilograms, and so as a result, the overall minimum weight of the car without fuel also increases from 798 to 800 kilograms. A driver cooling kit will be introduced and will be mandated by the FIA in extreme heat conditions, with a heat hazard declared if predicted temperatures are over 30.5 degrees C. It should be noted that the minimum weight of the cars will increase by 5 kilograms to compensate for the increased weight of the cooling kit. There are also changes to the rules around DRS slot gaps, with the minimum gap reduced for the rear wing between the two modes of DRS. It will drop from 10 to 15mm to 9.4 to 13mm, but the upper boundary remains at 85mm with DRS open. The FIA will also tighten up the rules on DRS modes, stating that there must only be 2 positions and that ending the DRS application must return the wing exactly as defined to the initial mode. It is also worth a mention that the FIA has informed the teams that a revised technical directive, that's TDO18, will come into effect from the Spanish Grand Prix this year. The directive will see teams put through more stringent flexibility tests following the FIA embarking on a fact-finding mission during last season, and the directive will reduce the permitted level of flexibility across the front wing, which will see the level of flex reduced from 15mm to 10mm. And best of all, drivers' comments are going to be policed more tightly, with harsher punishments lined up for persistent rule breakers. The penalties for driver misconduct cover language, gestures and/or signs are offensive, insulting, coarse, rude or abusive, and might reasonably be expected to be perceived to be coarse or rude, to cause offence, humiliation or to be inappropriate, as well as assault and incitement to do any of the above, and range from a €40,000 fine for a first offence to an €80,000 fine and a suspended suspension for a second offence, whatever, and to a €120,000 fine, a month's suspension and a points deduction for a third offence. The same penalty scale is set to apply to any moral injury or loss to the FIA, its bodies, its members, or its executive officers, or its values. The making of political, religious, and personal statements or comments which contravenes the FIA's neutrality will also be subject to the same penalties, with the added caveat that drivers will be required to make a full apology and retract their statement. And yes, I'm reading that from a document. But anyway, and finally, following a very static driver market ahead of the 2024 season, no changes at all between Abu Dhabi and Bahrain, this year has seen the grid get a proper shake-up of drivers. Sergio Perez has left Red Bull, with Liam Lawson getting the incredibly difficult job of being world champion Max Verstappen's teammate for 2025. Good luck, Liam. The reigning Constructors' champions, that's McLaren, remember, have an unchanged lineup, with Lando, Norris and Oscar Piastri once again teaming up for the year. However, Ferrari have made a change. Charles Leclerc has stayed on, but Carlos Sainz has been given the chop, with 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton joining the Scuderia. Andrea Kimi Antonelli taking the Brits' old seat at Mercedes, lining up alongside George Russell. Aston Martin are unchanged with Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll once again racing for the team, but Alpine have made a change with Pierre being joined by Jack Doohan, with Franco Colapinto lurking in the background as the team's reserve driver. Good luck, Jack. Haas will have an all-new lineup as Esteban, Ocon and Ollie Bearman move to the team for 2025. V-Carb will likely just be known as Racing Bulls this year and have partnered Yuki Tsunoda with F2 runner-up Isack Hadjar. Alex Albon has stayed at Williams but will be joined by Carlos Sainz for this season, and Sauber have an all-new lineup for 2025. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu are out. Nico Hulkenberg and F2 champion Gabriel Bortoleto are in. And just so you know, Lawson will race with number 30. Antonelli has taken number 12. Doohan will be running Kimi Raikkonen's old driver number, that's number 7. Bearman will use number 87. Hadjar will use the number 6. And Bortoleto will be using 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel's old number, that's number 5. It's only a number, but I'm not sure how I feel about that last one for some reason. But there we have it. Almost everything you need to know about F1 in 2025, which is not all that far away now. And I, for one, cannot wait for the new season to get underway. Hopefully, all the hype about this year being a classic turns out to be true, and it's more 2012 than 2023. Even so, I am so excited to see F1 cars back out on track again very soon. Not soon enough, mind, but still very soon. That is it for this video then, but which launch are you most excited about and which race are you looking forward to the most in 2025? You can let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and for the latest news, reaction and analysis from the world of Formula One, head on over to planetf1.com. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.